Greetings everyone, and welcome to my series on evaluating and ranking the Monster Sanctuary starters. Each starter has their own strengths and weaknesses, and hopefully throughout this series I'm able to help you narrow down which works best for you. In this video, we will be discussing the Spectral Toad familiar. The Spectral Toad familiar has an affinity for both the earth and water elements, and is a particularly potent support unit. For offensive capabilities, the Spectral Toad is capable of dealing magical earth damage using the Mud Cannon spell, as well as physical earth damage using the Poison Eater attack, which also restores health when used. In terms of water attacks, the Spectral Toad is capable of dealing magical water damage using the Bubble Burst skill and physical water damage using the Tidal Wave skill. The Bubble Burst spell, which is a single target multi-hit attack, whereas the Tidal Wave spell is an AoE group attack. For neutral damage, the only available skill to the Spectral Toad is the Tackle attack, which is a single target multi-hit attack that also ignores enemy defenses. Now on to the good part. The Spectral Toad familiar is capable of casting the Barrier and Channel buffs, which reduce damage taken and reduce mana consumed respectively, as well as the Might, Sorcery, Glory, and Sidekick buffs. Might increases physical damage, Sorcery increases magical damage, Glory increases critical chance and critical damage, and Sidekick adds an additional attack at the end of the current series of attacks. The Spectral Toad familiar can also cast a single target healing spell called Heal, which performs multiple instances of healing when cast, as well as the Healing Wave spell, which is a party heal that does not have multiple instances of healing. At this point, if you've seen my previous videos, you may have noticed that I seem to be burning through all of the active skills for this particular familiar. The reason for this is that, unlike the others, I feel the strength of this familiar cannot be properly displayed simply by showing what active skills are available to it. The Spectral familiar, that is the Toad, is capable of a buffing and debuffing combo that is entirely unique to this particular monster. In my main playthrough, my main party is already max level, and I have acquired around 80% of the total monster compendium. That said, I have never found a single other monster capable of the buff and debuff combo that the Spectral Toad is capable of. I know that may seem odd, as though I am implying that the other familiars have analogous monsters that can cover their particular roles, and that is a legitimate thought, as it's completely true. I have found other monsters that could fill the role that the Spectral Lion, the Spectral Wolf, or the Spectral Eagle could perform, but I have not found a single monster out of the 80-some that I currently have access to that can perform this particular combo. The combo in question combines the Buffing Heal passive, which causes monsters to be healed whenever they receive a buff, either active or passive, from the Spectral Toad, the Bolster passive, which causes 2 buffs to be placed on any monster that the Toad performs a single target heal on, or a single buff on all monsters that are healed by a group heal, such as Healing Wave, the Warlock Healing passive, which causes all instances of healing to potentially trigger a poison, weakness, or armor break debuff on a random enemy, and the Mystify passive, which causes debuffs to potentially buff the unit that caused the debuff with a random buff. What this effectively does is allow the Spectral Toad to trigger a cascade of buffs, heals, and debuffs from a single heal. The most effective use of this is to use a level 5 heal, which performs 8 instances of healing, along with the power healing passive, which causes the ally with the least health to receive an additional heal, which would trigger 2 buffs to be placed on the ally that the heal was performed on, thereby triggering 2 more instances of healing, and having those 11 instances of healing potentially trigger debuffs due to the Warlock healing passive, which in turn would trigger the Mystify passive to cause the Spectral Toad to receive a large number of buffs, of random buffs, which in turn would cause more instances of healing, which in turn would cause more instances of debuffs. This is not infinite by any means, as there is a limit based on how many instances of name your debuff stack. However, in order to make this combo not too broken, the devs put that strict limit that the only debuffs that can be caused by Warlock healing are Armor Break, Weakness, and Poison. So the maximum number of potential debuffs based on the units that I have access to in my main save would be 11 as the maximum number of debuffs and conversely random buffs that could be applied in a single round, which is massive. That is something I wish I could get out of my current team, but is not possible because my primary save is not with the Spectral Toad familiar. That said, due to this praise, I'm sure you would expect that I would say that the Spectral Toad is the best starter. However, I stand by my opinion that the Spectral Lion is the best starter as an objective fact, since the Spectral Lion is both offensively capable and capable of some support, whereas the Spectral Toad is primarily a support unit, though a support unit that has great team compositions available right off the get-go. In short, mechanically, the Spectral Toad is my favorite, but the Spectral Lion is the best new player option, and I highly recommend choosing that as your introduction to the game. If you would like to have a deeper experience, once you're accustomed to the battle system and all of the rules that make up building a party, then I highly recommend going with the Spectral Toad in a separate playthrough. But in terms of starting out and learning the ropes, the Spectral Lion is just a much better option. Anyways, that has been the Spectral Toad. I hope you all eventually give it a try. In the next video, the final video for this series, will be covering the Spectral Eagle, the absolute glass cannon of the starter set. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.